afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. What's your name, please?
My name is Hương.
And may I see your identification, please?
Here it is.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Which part of your country do most people live in?
Nowadays, almost Vietnamese people choose to live in urban area, which are the cities has developed economic, like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. And besides that, there are many people who love the peaceful life, peaceful atmosphere, and they choose the countryside. Like my grandparents, my uncles, they have the house in Hanoi, but they still choose to live in the countryside, especially when they get older.
How easy is it to travel around your country?
Well, I think it's almost same like all the other countries. And you know that there are many motorbikes in Vietnam, right? So there are many people choose to drive motorbike to travel around Vietnam. Besides that, there are many people choose to drive car, or you can go by coach, by train. And one more simple way is taking an airplane. It's simple, but it's also not cheap. But when you have a limited time, I think it's a good way for you to choose to travel to a different area in Vietnam.
Okay. For the next part, I will give you a topic card. You will need to talk about the topic for between 1 and 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to think about what you are going to say. You can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah, I see. I understand.
Can you start taking notes now?
Yes, a well-known person.
Okay, thank you. And can you start speaking now, please?
Yeah, well, a well-known person that I would like to talk about, the one who I admire, is not a celebrity, not a star at all. She is 46. Maybe you don't know her, but she was a schoolgirl gorilla, and she is remembered as a national martyr in Vietnam. You know, when she was only 14 years old. 14 years old, she was too young, right? She threw a grenade, and she was imprisoned when she was only about 16 years old, and was executed when she was only about 18 or 19 years old. But she did fight, and she died for our countries. And I watched many movies. I watched a movie, and I heard about history about her, and I really, really admire her. I know that the topic today, we want to talk about appearance. Yeah, nowadays the appearance is very important in this life, especially for the famous people. Many people would like to choose a girl who has a nice appearance maybe, but for me, she's also has a really, the beauty is very important, right? And she has a really nice, beautiful soul. That's the most important, at least for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What are the good things about being famous?
The good things for being famous, I think firstly is about money. Almost people want to be rich, they want to have much money. And well, when we are famous, we will have kind of a little bit higher life quality. And when we are on the streets, there are many people who will recognize us. It seems to be a little bit proud. We are proud when people recognize you and your parents are proud of you.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the speaking test.
That's a lot of content over there. I really like the fact that, you know, when she talked about a person who was really beautiful, and then she mentioned Võ Thị Sáu.
Yeah.
Do you know about Võ Thị Sáu at all?
Just vaguely. I didn't understand the full history, but actually she made it very clear to me. Very interesting. Yeah.
So what did you like about that performance?
Well, I was very impressed actually. I mean, I think her fluency is outstanding. She's easily able to give long answers. She can go quickly without stopping too often. Gave some really good examples. I thought she was outstanding in her fluency.
Wow.
And pronunciation, I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Easy to understand throughout. Very natural sounding. She uses word stress quite a lot for the important information. And very, very, very strong in those.
Wow. What are some of the good phrases or vocabulary that you picked out from that?
When she was talking about Võ Thị Sáu in part 2, she said words like executed and threw a grenade. I was very impressed with some of those less common words. But I think throughout the whole test she used very natural vocabulary. A few mistakes here and there, but nothing serious.
Okay, all right. Let's take a look at what she thinks of her performance. All right, Tu Hương, what do you think of your performance just now?
Well, I don't know how to say now. I was quite nervous, and I think I did it not as good as I hoped, but yeah, it's quite good enough.
All right, so she mentioned something that she was nervous. You know, she was really nervous, but it didn't seem like she was nervous at all.
Not at all. She seemed very confident.
Very,
actually.
very confident. So let's see if there's any other instances that she was nervous. Okay. So were there any point in time where an examiner or somebody made you really nervous to him?
Actually, he only just gave me the questions and looked straight at me. But you know, sometimes he looked down or he looked at the stopwatch, and it really made me confused. I thought that, wow, the time is gonna over and I have to speak it faster, faster, and faster. But actually, only part 2, right? Only part 2 that count the time. In the part 1 and part 3, I can say as much as I can, but I didn't know that. Just try my best to speak it.
Why do examiners look at their watch?
They have to follow the time very strictly. Because Ielts is a standardized test around the world, it always has to be between 11 and 14 minutes. So it's completely normal for the examiner to be looking at the watch because they have to stop each section after a certain amount of time.
I see. And will they stop the section even if the person was still speaking?
Exactly. So for example, in part 2, even if you haven't finished speaking at 2 minutes, the examiner must stop. But it's a good thing. It means you've said all that you can say. So don't worry too much about the timing. That's the examiner's job. But just say as much as you can say, and the examiner will control the time.
Are there certain keys that we can look at to know where we're at when it comes to time?
If you notice the examiner is frequently looking down at the watch, it probably means time is almost up.
Okay.
But my advice is just ignore the time and just keep talking as much as you can say.
So that's a good advice. So don't be nervous when the examiner is looking down. You know, sometimes we get very nervous when people do that.
Exactly.
But yeah, don't be nervous, and you know, just keep on talking and keep on saying until you're stopped. All right. So let's see how many points she thinks she got.
Okay.
How many points do you think you got, Tu Hương?
I think I didn't do it good enough, so maybe about 6 or 7.
Good enough, 6 or 7. What do you think about that?
Well, 6 or 7 is certainly good enough, but I think she would be higher than that. I think her fluency and her pronunciation are definitely higher than that.
So you're a little bit too humble. But if you had to do it again, what would you do differently?
If I have a chance to do this test again, I think the most important and the most problem of mine is about vocabulary and grammar. I have to improve my vocabulary, and my grammar should be more kind of exactly.
Yeah, she wants to do it again, and you know, she wants to improve on her vocabulary as well as her grammar, more have those aspects more accurate. How can she do that?
It's difficult. I mean, I think grammar, it's very difficult to speak perfectly in an interview like that. And if people start worrying too much about their grammar, it really affects their fluency. They start slowing down a lot. And it also really affects their pronunciation because they're focusing more on grammar than on pronunciation. So often I find the grammar score might go up, but then you might go down in 2 other categories. So
and that
my
is
advice
pronunciation and fluency, right?
Exactly. So my advice is just ignore grammar. It is what it is, and don't focus too much on being perfect.